Okay, so good evening, dear students. How are you? It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. Um, well, from now on, we're going to have these classes as well with me. We're gonna be seeing each other on Thursdays, on Wednesdays, on Tuesdays, and Fridays because the practical classes you're also have them. You're gonna also have them with me. Okay. So for today, we're not gonna have, of course, rhetorical classes or theoretical classes, but we're gonna have just practical classes. Okay. But we're going to do is basically to practice everything we have learned yesterday. Okay. And in order to do that, of course, we're going to make use of our platform in Gush, and we're going to do exactly what we used to do as well when we are in our personal calls. We're going to get into Magush and also into other materials I have prepared for you, and we're going to practice for the second task. Okay, that is, of course, the one that we are learning right now. Okay, so join me and please grab your piece of papers near you. Have your pens too near your person, because every single one of you is going to help me today. Every single one of you, it's required to take notes on every single material we're going to be, well, examining today, because you're going to be requested to give a response to every single question or to every single one of the exercises today, okay? What we're going to do is simply the following. One of you is going to always begin to give the response. That is to say, one of you is going to be the first one, and the rest of your classmates is later going to respond after you. That is to say, it's going to respond next to you. Okay. After you have finished, your other classmates are going to begin to respond to, but there's always going to be one person who begins, and that is going to be as well um, changing. Okay. Wonderful. So let's get into Magush then. Here, and we're going to practice for the second task. Okay, so let's get into Magush and let's go for this. So we're going to have the speaking section, the speaking task number 2. We're going to see all the exercises in quiz mode. Okay, so let's begin. Wonderful. Well, for this time, the first person that is going to respond is going to be Bonnie. Okay, Bonnie Morales. You're going to be the first one responding to this. Pay attention. The rest of your students equally pay attention to this specific exercise, to the passage we're going to read, and also to the listening audio. Every single one of you is going to respond. I want to listen to the responses of every single one of you. And I also want, but Bonnie is going to be the one who is going to begin. And later for the other exercise, another student is going to begin. Okay. So please join me and let's begin with this. Okay. So I'm going to, of course, paste this to the chat box so you can have it there and you can read. So please read. You have 4 or 5 seconds to read. I'm gonna be taking your time here. So please begin to read now. Oh yeah, sure, Lara. So well, today we're basically simply practice for the second task of the speaking section. You remind the last class, that is to say, yesterday we had been, examining and learning about how to approach that section. And today the only thing we're going to do is to practice. Okay. Here to the chat box, I have already pasted a reading passage. I want you to read it. You're going to have 4 or 5 seconds, as it is going to be the case in your actual exam. And after that, you're going to receive the listening section or the audio. There's going to be a conversation with relationship to the passage, right? You are later going to have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to deliver your response. Simply summarizing, first of all, the reading passage, and also summarizing as well the audio, right? That is to say, the conversation. What we're going to do, it's basically in every single exercise, one student is going to begin. In this case, the first student to respond is going to be Bonnie. And after Bonnie responds, and she completely states and her summarize of this specific materials in this 60 seconds, there's going to be another student and the other student and the other students, but every single one of you is going to deliver his or her response too. Okay, so we're just going to have one person beginning with it. That is everything we're going to do today. Okay, I think I hope it's clear. So please begin to read that passage that I have. All right, wonderful. So please begin to read, and you're going to be able to see when your time is over. Take your notes, of course, okay? Okay, wonderful, time's up. Now we're going to listen to the conversation with regard to this passage, okay? So let's listen together.
Now listen to two students discussing the article.
You can listen, right? Can somebody please tell me if you're able to listen?
Yes.
All right, wonderful, thank you. So please, let's listen to the conversation.
Now listen to two students discussing the article.
I really don't think this is a good idea.
Ah, really? It sounds like the ads could help the radio station make money.
Well, yeah, I guess, but the radio station already plays a lot of announcements.
Announcements?
Well, yes, between shows they announce campus events, changes in school policy, that kind of thing. If they add commercials too, there'll be a lot less time for the entertainment content.
Yeah, and they can't really stop running those announcements. There's a lot of important info there.
Yeah, and besides, does the college radio station really need to bring in more money? I mean, they just got new sound gear last year, and the music department already pays to bring famous singers to campus. Who cares if they're aired on campus radio if we get the chance to see them live?
I see what you mean. I've never had any problems with the programming myself.
Exactly. I think advertisers will just take up extra time. They won't really improve the station. You know, I think they'll just make things worse. I don't know if I'll keep listening if they really do start running ads.
Well, maybe you're right.
The woman expresses her opinion about the change described in the article. Briefly summarize the change. Then state her opinion about the change and give the reasons she states for holding that opinion.
Okay, so you're gonna have your 30 seconds to prepare your response. Every single one of you, please work on it. But the one that is going to respond first is going to be Bonnie, okay? So begin to prepare your response now. Okay, time's up. And now please, Bonnie, begin to deliver your response now.
According to the announcement, a school radio station is gonna air paid advertisements in order to earn money and improve the equipment and the programs. Meanwhile, the student does not advocate this idea. To begin, she points out that they already play a lot of announcements, and if they add even more, there would be less entertainment. Moreover, she argues that they don't really need the money, and that just would make things worse. That's it.
All right, wonderful, thank you. I'm gonna give you your feedback later, okay? So now, Carlos, please deliver your response now.
With regard to the reading passage, it's talking about the school radio station, and that is trying to earn more money from our advertising. And Chaplin, the student director, thinks, for example, that by doing this, and they can purchase higher end recording and equipment and the broadcast rights also, and invite singers. But this decision will be taken in the next week, in the early next week. And on the other hand, the girls doesn't agree and disagree, that it's not a really good idea because the radio station already plays many advertisements, and that a lot of time is going to be out of the entertainment in order to wait for to listen to it, and that it's probably that she won't listen to it if they add more ads.
Okay, time's up. Thank you, Carlos. All right, so now Carolina, please begin to deliver your response now. Carolina, are you there? Carolina, can you hear me?
Yes, but I couldn't hear the audio very well, so
Oh, okay.
I didn't prepare my response.
All right, don't worry, Carolina. For the next material, you're gonna do it, okay? Don't worry, thank you. Okay, so Jessica, please begin to deliver your response now.
Okay, the conversation it's about the school radio station, about the money earned from advertising. It's about for two person, Shanklin and the student director, about what happened with the station about the money, and if is recommendation about the money or no. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Wonderful. Now, please, Alvaro, begin to deliver your response now.
Okay, to begin with, in the reading passage mentioned about the purpose of the advertisements in the radio station of the school. The principal reason to do this is to improve the equipment of the radio station. On the other hand, the woman is disagree with this, maybe because she doesn't think that this is necessary, but I think that is if you have good reasons to make money, it's a good idea. And that is all, teacher.
Okay, thank you, Alvaro. Now, Laura, please, could you begin to deliver your response now?
Okay, to begin with the radio station and the money they need, the woman just disagree because she thinks it's like too much advertisement for the radio, and she also said it's like unnecessary because like the university don't need very much money, and actually they already have money for the, and she thinks they can like do another advertisement for get the radio station more famous, and also get like they say more famous people. Yeah, that's all, teacher.
All right, thank you, Laura. Claudia, were you able to listen and to read the passage?
No, teacher, I'm sorry. I just logged in. I couldn't hear.
Okay, don't worry. So you're going to participate in the next material. Okay, thank you, Claudia. All right, wonderful. Thank you, guys. Now I'm going to begin to give some very short insights so that you consider them for the next exercise we're going to have. Okay, so to begin with, in the order that you participated, Bonnie, your response was very good. I like it very much. My only observation with you would be that in my case, I think that those 10 seconds approximately that you didn't utilize could be very, very well used by you. I think if you just try to emphasize a little bit more on the details and the examples the speakers always give as part of her reasons and arguments in order to sustain her opinion. Because if you pay attention to every single listening material we have had until this point, every single time the speaker mentions an argument, he also somehow gives an example or an illustration. For example, in this case, the student was saying, well, I don't think that this would anyways be important for the students, she said, because even if the radio station tries to get more famous singers to perform on campus, it doesn't matter because we already have the opportunity to listen to them through our radio. And if you pay attention to that, you can say, well, she believes that this is not going to be any sort of novelty. And later to mention that specific example she gave, right, that the singers already perform in this university, in this campus, so that the fact that this radio station wants to increase, you know, their audience by making these announcements and bringing these famous singers to campus is not going to help in order to improve the audience and to make more money. Okay, but that is my only observation. It was very good. All right, wonderful. With regard to Carlos, equally, your response is very good as always. In this case, I don't have any real observation. You're following the template. You are complementing every single argument with the illustration the speaker gave. Very good. All right. Okay, so going on to Jessica, in this case, let me open here my presentation of yesterday's class. Why? Because, well, I want to remind you a little bit of the template that I had presented you to follow in order to respond, right, to this specific task that I have noticed that some of you have not been utilizing it. But nevertheless, if you see, for example, how Bonnie and Carlos responded to this question, you're going to notice that if you follow that template, that is going to give you a lot of organization, okay? A lot of organization, because the responses of these two students are very organized and they are very effective because they follow the template, okay? So please let us observe again this template. This is what you have to do in order to respond to this specific type of question and the second task of the speaking section. What you have to do after you have received your materials, what you have to do after you have read your passage, after you have listened to your audio, it's simply to make your notes, of course, to take your notes and to utilize this specific structure. As a matter of introduction, you have to say to begin with in the reading passage, and then just say whatever the passage said, right? You have to do this super generally, super concisely, super shortly, because you have to emphasize way more on the listening part. You have to emphasize more on what the speaker said in the conversation. But nevertheless, you have to begin every single one of your responses for this specific task by saying this to begin with in the reading passage, and then you explain super generally what the reading passage said. You don't have to skip the reading passage and to jump directly to the conversation, because if you skip the reading passage, you are just letting one of the materials out of your response, and that is not correct, because your reviewers is going to consider, well, he was not able to synthesize both materials and to utilize every single source of information we gave them in order to take the response. Okay, so you have to include both materials. Of course, you have to emphasize and to spend more time on the conversation, but nevertheless, you have to mention always the reading passage, whatever it said. For example, in this case, you could have said something like in the reading, well, to begin with, in the reading passage, we have seen that the university plans to implement some announcements into its program because they want to get more resources in order to buy more equipment, whatever the reading passage said, right? You state that super generally, super shortly, and at that point, you move on to the conversation. You say, on the other hand, and then you state whatever the conversation said, right? On the other hand, in this case, it will have been something like, on the other hand, the speaker or the student disagrees with this because she considers that this and this and this and that, and those are the third and the fourth step. First speaker's reason and second speaker's reason. You begin to say, well, the student or the student in this case believes this is a bad idea because she considers that the radio program already has a lot of material, equipments, and the other argument was that she believes this is not going to increment or to augment the level of audience because nobody's going to listen to this program because of the announcements. Okay, so you have to, as you can see, follow this specific structure. Carlos, for example, followed, Bonnie followed, and as you can see, their responses are very effective and well organized. Okay. For example, for Jessica, I also noticed a little bit that you were not following that template. In this case, you, as I said, just skip directly to the conversation. It's okay. We are practicing, right? This is very good because it happens now. It's not going to happen to you in the real exam. That is the important one, right? So let's continue practicing. But in this case, Jessica, always try to as well mention, first of all, the reading passage to begin in that order. You say to begin with in the reading passage, and then you summarize it super quickly, super shortly, super generally. And then you say on the other hand, and you move on at that point to the conversation. You say, well, the student believes that this is a bad idea because this reason, that will be the first speaker's reason, and because of this second speaker's reason. And if she has even more reasons, well, you proceed, you continue, okay? That is my observation with you. But try to please get attached and to attach yourself to the template, all right? The same would be for Laura Choque, for example. In your case, also, you have to attach yourself to this template. In this case, you also skip the reading passage and you move on directly to the listening part. That is to say, you began to comment and to summarize the conversation. It's fine. We are practicing, as I say. It's very good that you are having these mistakes right now. We can correct them, okay? So don't worry. So always try to, as I say, begin to the reading passage with the reading passage and then move on to the conversation. And with regard to Alvaro, your response was very good, actually. In this case, you did follow the template. But nevertheless, what I would suggest to Alvaro, and actually it's super important to do, it's never to give your opinion in this response. Remind that I have asked you to somehow relate and to identify this specific task with the role of a journalist. Why? Because the journalist, if it is a good journalist, right, he never or she never gives his or her opinion. The only thing a journalist does is simply to collect the information from the different sources he's investigating, and he later, well, obviously he takes his notes, right? And he later conveys this information to just summarize whatever the information of these sources was. In this case, as I say, never give your opinion. For example, you said something like, it is a good idea to do this and do this. It is not appropriate in this specific task. The moment for you to do that is in the first task. That if you have not been in the previous classes, don't worry. We are going to get into that with you and with your group when we get into that specific when we get into this specific task. But nevertheless, as I say, in this specific task, you simply have to summarize, to convey whatever the material said. Avoid to give your opinion because, as I say, what you have to do is to be like a journalist, okay? Simply summarize, convey, express what the materials said, the reading passage and also the conversation, okay? So those are my observations. Let's move on super quickly. We have a lot to practice. So let's go with another one. In this case, we're going to use this material here. So let me show you. Okay, now here, and just give me a second. I have it here. All right, wonderful. So this is the reading you have to. Well, this is the reading passage you have to read. Please read it. You have there on my screen. I'm gonna take your 45 seconds here from my other device, and I'm gonna tell you when the time is over. Okay, so take your notes because you're not gonna be able to read this again. You're gonna have just 45 seconds, and later we're going to listen to the audio of the conversation with regard to this specific passage. Okay, so please begin to read this passage. Give me a second. Okay, so begin to read this passage now. Okay, time's up. And now let's listen to the conversation regarding this topic, okay? Let's listen.
Now listen to two students who are talking about the plan.
I don't like to cook, but I don't like to eat in the cafeteria every day either.
True. The food does get kind of Same old, same old.
My point exactly. And besides, I go home about every other weekend, so paying for my meals when I'm not there doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. So you'll probably sign up for the 5-day plan next semester.
I already did. If I want to eat in the cafeteria some weekend, I can just buy a meal. But I'd probably go out somewhere with my friends if I'm here over the weekend.
Well, I don't go home on the weekends as much as you do, but I still eat out a lot on the weekends.
So the 5-day plan might work out better for you, too. I'm really glad to have the option.
The man
All right, wonderful. That's it. So, in this case, Laura Choque. Okay, Laura. No, actually, if you listen to what I said, it's actually the country. In this specific response, you never have to give your opinion. Okay, what you have to do is just to summarize. Remember what we learned last class? You have to assume the role of a journalist. A journalist never expresses his or her opinion, right? The journalist simply states the information he has managed to collect from the different sources he's been looking to, right? So what you have to do is simply read the passage, listen to the conversation, take your notes, and later summarize whatever the reading passage said, and whatever the listening passage said to. Okay, that is all that you have to do. No more than that. All right, no opinions in this specific task. Okay, wonderful. So in this case, the person to begin is going to be Carolina. Okay, Carolina, you're going to be the first. So please, but every one of you, please begin to prepare your response now. All right, time's up. And now, Carolina, please begin to deliver your response now.
To begin with, in the reading passage, it talks about the meal plans that resident halls students have. There are 7-day plans and 5-day plan. And when the students select the 5-day plan, they should buy something outside on weekends. On the other hand, the guys in the conversation both agree that the food is not good, and the first speakers said that he prefers to eat to go out with his friends, with her friends, and the second speakers said that she doesn't like the food too.
Okay. Thank you, Carolina. Your time's up, but thank you very much. Okay. So now, Jessica, please. It's gonna be your time. So begin to deliver your response now.
Okay. In the reader passage, it's about meal plans. Exactly for 2 meal plans options. One option is including 3 meals for cost of $168 per month, and other it was $120 per month, and I can, and that's all. Sorry.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Don't worry, it's fine. Okay, so Alvaro, it's gonna be your turn now. So please have your microphone on and begin to deliver your response now.
To begin with, according to the passage, there are two plans of meal that give the option to eat 7 days or 5 days. And the cost depends of the meal plan. Offer a varied menu. On the other hand, the male student doesn't like cooked food, and sometimes he goes out to eat with friends. And the woman wants a varied food menu because she eats every day in that place. And they are thinking about what is the best options to the different cases. And that is all, teacher.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Alvaro. Okay, let me write down this. Okay, so in this case, the next one is going to be Laura. So Laura, please begin to deliver your response now.
Okay. There's two options for in university for the meal. There's a 7-day meal plan that consists in 3 meals every day, and the other one is a 5-day plan that consists with 3 meals too, but with a less cost. So on the other hand, the students were discussing about this plan, and both of them agreed that the cook is not good, and actually I think it's fast food. And also he said he'll take the 5-day plan because he also get on her with his friends and things like that, and she was like thinking about what plan to choose, but he suggests to have the 5-day plans too. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. Okay, so Claudia, please, it's your turn now, and have your microphone ready, and please begin to deliver your response now.
Okay. To begin with the reading passage, well, there's an announcement about the meal plan. They are going to offer 2 meal plans now, one of 7 days per week with 3 meals, and that costs 168, and one with 5 days and 3 meals that costs $120. Well, in the other hand, the students are talking about their opinions about these plans, and both agree that they are probably going to take the 5 days meal plan, since the boy likes to go out with his friends and eat out, and the girl likes to eat a lot. That's all.
Thank you. Very good, Claudia. Very, very good. All right. Thank you. So let's go with Carlos. Have your microphone ready, please, and begin to deliver your response now.
With regard to the reading passage, they're talking about 2 new options, the 2 meal plans options that will be offered, but also the traditional 7 days will be available. And for example, for the first option is the 3 meals every day at a cost of $168 per month, and the second one is 5-day since Monday to Friday, $120. And on the other hand, in the dialogue, and the boy doesn't really like to eat in the cafeteria because they both think that the food is very similar, and he really likes to go out with his friends in order to eat. And they both agree with the idea to sign up to the 5-day meal plan, and probably this will be a very good idea or option for the cafeteria.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Carlos. Now, Marines, it's your time. So please begin to have your microphone ready and begin to deliver your response now.
To begin with the reading passage, that they are announcing a second meal plan, which is a 5-day, and joining the 7-day meal plan. But this new meal plan is going to be less cost than the other one. So these two students are discussing these two meals plan, but for them, the food is not really good, so it's not really worth it. So the 7-day meal plan, and also because the male student comments that he goes home on weekends, so he will prefer the 5-day meal plan. Also, the female student agrees with him, but for other reasons, because she's going to spend the weekend studying, like she said. So she's going to prefer also the 5-day meal plan.
Right, wonderful. Thank you, Marinas. And finally, Bonnie, please have your microphone ready and begin to deliver your response now.
According to the announcement, the university will add 2 meal plan options, since some students no longer require the 7-day meal plan. Meanwhile, the students don't advocate this idea. To begin with, they point out that food isn't that good. Moreover, they also argue that it's not a big change, and they'd rather the 5-day plan. Also, they like to go out with friends on weekends, so the 5 days is a great option for them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very good. Okay, wonderful. So, very quick insights now. So, I have a general recommendation for all of you. It is that, for example, in this case, there were some money prices mentioned in this specific passages. And it is not really necessary to mention that, for example, because many of you were very troubled to mention the numbers. And it is actually not necessary to mention information of that sort, like prices. Imagine that, for example, in some other material, you're going to receive dates, for example. Dates are not very relevant to what the reviewer is going to be thinking about while reviewing your response is whether you can, whether or not you can express the general information and how well you can make sense of it with regard to these two materials that somehow complement each other, right? But nevertheless, it was good. Of course, it is not negative, but nevertheless, you're going to notice that sometimes if you pay attention to things like dates and time and prices, that is going to snatch from you valuable time that you can utilize in order to detail, for example, way more the reasons the students hold in order to agree or to disagree with that specific change the university is making, right? So in this case, as I say, it is not negative. Nevertheless, there are some more advantageous points that you can certainly make if you decide to get rid of this specific information, okay? But it's not negative. It is good if you include it, okay? But just for you to consider. All right, so now individually, for example, for Carolina, it was very good. Your response has improved very, very much. In this case, for example, my only recommendation for you would be that, and for many of you actually, many of you have been doing this, remind that I told you last class that in this specific task, you're going to have a conversation between two students, of course. And these two students are going to be, of course, talking, right? And what you have to avoid in this case is to refer to them as if they were interchanging dialogue. That is to say, you should not say, for example, the man said this, and the male student said this, and the female student responded this. It's not really necessary to make that a specific change there, like to mention that a specific change of roles and who is speaking, who is listening, not necessary. You can simply go out, for example, in this case, given that both of them agree on this topic, you could have said simply like, and some of you did this, you could have simply said something like, well, in this case, on the other hand, both of the students we have seen in the conversation agree with this, and they consider that this and this and this. It's not necessary to make that a specific mention, right? And if it is the case that they don't agree, that, for example, one of them agrees and the other does not, or it is the case, for example, that one student is speaking throughout the entire conversation and the other simply adding some contingent and additional details, you should not mention the other speaking. The one that is mentioning additional details, simply obviate him. Why? Because you should mainly speak about what the main speaker is trying to convey, and use the information given by the other speaker as a matter of complementary information. Okay, so in any case, always try to focus on one specific speaker that is always the main speaker, right? There's always a speaker that is having more time on the conversation and is exposing his arguments, and the other one simply trying to add a specific information that complements that, but don't mention it. Simply use that information he is conveying in order to complement your response, no more than that, okay? But very good. Jessica, equally very good response. My same recommendations, the general ones, apply for you. Alvaro as well, very good. My same general recommendations apply for you. You can see, guys, that you are improving a lot. Laura, very good as well. You have begun to follow the template, the structure, very good. You are doing pretty well. Claudia is exactly the same with you. My general recommendations apply to you, very good. Carlos, perfect. Marina's perfect. And Bonnie, I want to, for example, highlight something that you did here, Bonnie. You committed a mistake in this specific sentence, right? When you were talking about plural and singular, but you managed to almost to smile and to continue, right? Like, it's like you didn't make a great deal of it. Very good. And for example, imagine the students that it happens to you in your real exam, that you commit a mistake and you are conscious of it, that you committed a mistake. And for example, maybe that troubles you a lot and you make a great deal of it, and maybe just stop and you say, oh, damn it, I committed a mistake. Never say that. I mean, if you commit a mistake, don't express it. Just continue as if nothing had happened. Because if you make a great deal of it, well, your reviewer is consequently also make a great deal of it, because he's going to say, well, he's super troubled because of this. Maybe it was something exponentially bad, so I'm going to lower his score. Nevertheless, if you continue, as I say, as if nothing had happened, then you're not going to make a great deal of it. Neither your reviewer is going to make it. Okay, so continue just as Bonnie did in this case, as if nothing had happened. Okay, but that is my recommendation. Very good, Bonnie, too. Wonderful. So let's go to the other one. We have or any question, maybe any commentary here until this point? Question, commentary, or it's fine? Okay, I think it's fine. Don't worry. So let's go to the second one.
But I don't.
Just let me find it. Let's see. Okay. So please read now this topic I have here on my screen. I'm gonna be calculating and taking your time. So you're gonna have your 45 seconds to read. Okay, so please begin to read now. Okay, time's up. And now, please let's listen to the conversation following this specific passage, okay?
Discussing the article. Everything all right?
Yeah, I'm just upset about that article I showed you this morning.
Why? What's the big deal?
Well, as an art major, I think it's a big loss for the department. The university's got it all wrong.
What do you mean?
Well, the low enrollment isn't because art majors don't want to take these classes. Problem is, who has time to take them when there are so many other requirements?
I don't understand.
See, the classes they're eliminating are all optional. The required courses are mostly painting and drawing, and they take up all our time. What we really need are different requirements. Then art majors could take a better variety of classes, all the things we're interested in.
That makes sense. But the thing about the professor...
Well, that's true. But still, they're being drastic. If money's the problem, they could hire a part-time professor. Or most of the professors in the department have secondary fields.
Really?
Yeah. At least a few painting teachers are also great sculptors. I'm sure one of them could teach a class.
All right, wonderful. So, as you can see, that those are the materials. Now, please begin to prepare your response. Now. Okay, time's up. Carlos, you're gonna be the first one. Please turn on your microphone and begin to deliver your response. Oh, there's a commentary, sorry. What did you have to deliver? Yes, certainly. I'm going to let you receive a link later in order to practice, but don't worry, Carolina, it's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so Carlos, begin to deliver your response now.
Okay, with regard to the topic, they're talking about the sculpture courses that will be eliminated in the future, and that's because of the lack of students' interest, and because also the fewer art majors are taking this sculpture classes, and also because the professor is going to be out. On the other hand, the students. And they both think that, the girl thinks that this is a wrong idea because they don't really have the time to take these courses because other official classes are required, for example, as painting, and they don't really have time to get into these classes that they have interested in. Also, if they really need if the problem is really the money, they should hire a teacher with double skills or double subjects and a part-time professor.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carlos. Okay. All right, Marines, please turn on your microphone. Begin to deliver your response now.
To begin with, in the reading passage, they are announcing that the shutdown of the sculpture department program because they have no students anymore, and also because the professor is retired. So these two students are discussing it, and the female student is quite upset because it's a loss. She thinks it's a loss for the major art, but she also explains that they have no time to take this program because they have requirements to fulfill before of taking this program, but they needed this because it's they are offered with some variety, and if the problem is the professor, they could hire a part-time, or they could also make another teacher taught this.
Right. Thank you, Marines. Thank you very much. Okay, so Bonnie, you're gonna be the next one. Please begin to deliver your response now.
According to the announcement, the sculpture program will be eliminated, seeing the lack of interest students and the reducing budget for the art department by the university. Meanwhile, the student does not advocate this idea because she thinks it's a big loss because there are some students interested in this, but they don't have enough time to take them. Moreover, she argues that they could hire a part-time professor like the painting teachers who are also great sculptors.
Right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Fanny. So Laura, please Have your microphone ready and begin to deliver your response now.
Okay, to begin with, in the reading passage that the sculpture program will be eliminated because of the lack of students, and even that the students want to pass those classes, like the school, the majors who want to take the class, and because of the time and due to the maybe the money. But on the other hand, the lady says that it is like it doesn't make sense that a major don't want to take those classes just because the money, and the university is getting wrong.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much. Claudia, please have your microphone ready and begin to deliver your response now.
Okay. Well, to begin with, the university administrators are announcing that the sculpture courses are going to be eliminated. They justify this because despite the increase of the art students, there's fewer students taking sculpture courses, because the only teacher of sculpture is retiring. On the other hand, one of the students is really upset. She thinks that is a loss, and that the reason why there's fewer students taking these courses is because they don't have time, since other signatures like painting and drawing are are required. And that's all.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Claudia. Jessica, please begin to deliver your response now.
Okay, the reading passage, and it's about the sculpture program in the university. The reason is the number of art students has increased, and so the art department professor have a limited or exceeds only one professor, and that's all.
Right. Thank you, Jessica. Don't worry, it's fine. Alvaro, please, you're the last one. Have your microphone ready and begin to deliver your response now.
To begin with, in the reading passage mentioned that the department is going to eliminate the sculpture class because the number of students is reduced. And contrary to this, the art class is increasing the number of students because this subject is more equipped. On the other hand, in the dialogue, the girl says that the class of sculpture is optional, and maybe they don't give much importance to this subject. The department doesn't invest in a full-time professor, and she believed that these are the reasons to eliminate the sculpture class.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Alvaro. All right. So before I give you your insights and your commentaries to every one of you, please, as you know, it's our tradition. Fill please this poll, and I actually have two polls because I have to take two polls now. So please fill this super quickly so that I can give you the other poll. You know, it's anonymous, so please respond it very honestly. Okay, I'm going to say my commentaries while you're doing that. Bonnie, wonderful, very good, perfect response. Carlos, exactly the same, very good response, very well planned, excellent. Marines, very good as well. I like how you managed that little mistake you have with variety. Continue, don't make a great deal of it. Very good. Laura, as well, very good. For example, Laura, try always to avoid those expressions like maybe, I don't know, my only observation. because they are not really necessary. But with regard to the rest, very good, like super good. Okay, and please this one too. Just want to make sure that I do this. Okay, please fill this one too. Please, is another one. They are requiring me to take these 2 polls. Please fill it. It's very necessary for me to have them filled. As I was saying, Laura, very good. That the only thing that maybe word, try to eliminate it. Not to mention things like maybe or I don't know or yeah, perhaps. Those expressions are not necessary. Try to always be indicative, like affirming. This is the case. She said this, this, and this. But very good. Claudia, perfect. Jessica, my only observation for you, Jessica, would be try to always eliminate that that phrase or that tradition you have to say when you do not know what to say. Rather than saying, for example, when you're thinking, it's better if you stay silent, like without saying anything, without emitting any type of noise or sound. It's going to be way better. Okay, so always try to diminish that specific maybe custom you have in order to say but try to stay silent, recover your idea, and to continue. Okay, Alvaro, wonderful. I think it was perfect. Very good response. As you can see, you are all improving. Thank you very much for your responses. Okay, wonderful. So it was a wonderful class for me to have with you guys. I have to leave because I have another class, but thank you for your presence. See you tomorrow, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
teacher. Thank you.
Bye.